Hello, I'm Emilio Ortana, and I'm talking about the negative effects of the portrayal of black people in media. Uh, so, my research topic and purpose. So, media is a human made concept, and as such, human bias bleeds into it. So, the aim of what I'm researching today is to see if this has an effect on people, specifically black people. So how do the stereotypes that that get built into human made media, how does this affect black people specifically negatively? And that's the question I aim to answer. So this looks at a couple different facets. First, we establish that black people face more struggles, um, socioeconomically and stuff, and in society, and then uh, we try to examine how does the stereotypes in media negatively affect them through uh, through like in the labor market and such, and how right, if they're applying for a job which white people are interviewing them for, if they have these negative stereotypes from the TV they watch and such, and how this can negatively affect them, but also how could this play into part for black people's own self-image of themselves if they're constantly seeing images in media and television of that are stereotypes which negatively portray them. So my thesis is the portrayal of black people in the media, which affects the social perception and identity of young black people who are specifically more vulnerable, and furthermore, this negatively affects their placement in society. Um, in Unpacking White Privilege, The Invisible Knapsack by McIntosh, she describes systemic issues as both discrimination and as a lack of white privilege, right? So it can be seen as twofold, right? You go into the store, you're not allowed to buy something because of the color of your skin, or it could be seen as, right, the white person goes, and so they're able to do something because they're white, right? They have the white privilege, They start out at a greater social location due to the color of their skin, and they're granted certain things that black people aren't. So these are the two different lenses we can look at systemic issues through. So a study found that white people were 1.54 times more likely to be accepted for VR services, which is a government service which aims to help like disabled people and such. And this is an example of how the black people are discriminated against, and they just face more challenges when it comes to rising in socioeconomic status, and overall, you know. So yeah, and then research about the effects of exposure to television on children found that children who sat in front of the TV a lot and watched a lot of TV were started to believe that these portrayals of black people were true to life, right? So if some kids watching some program with negative stereotyping of black people, then that they start to think, hey, maybe this is how black people actually are, and this can have negative consequences on black people down the line, right? They grew up, they get a job, and some black person walks in to apply, and they have these built-up perceptions from the TV they watched when they were younger, that they're dangerous, they're messy, whatever the stereotype is, for noisy criminals, and this negatively affects the job market outcome, right? In the previous study I talked about, right, they found that white people were more likely to be accepted to VR services. There's a person behind there that has to filter through through the applications, and white people tend to dominate the labor market in America as it's a predominantly white society. So this is an example of how the negative stereotypes in media can negatively affect black people and their future socioeconomic status, and trying to climb that ladder. So not only do black people experience the negative effects of media stereotyping uh, through through white people and being discriminated against, or as I guess you could look at it through the lens of they don't face these issues. They have their white privilege, so they don't have to deal with it. But there's also research that suggests that it's not good for their own idea of self and self image and self identity, right? So, research, a study found that children who had like a strong like background with their parents and peers and had a lot of supporting people in their life had a easier time recognizing stereotypes in the media, and this suggests that the main agents of socialization are parents and peers, but when these are less prevalent, instead other agents of socialization such as the media begin to take over. And there's actually a theory for this called cultivation theory, which suggests that higher rates of TV lead to internalizing the message that are displayed. If you just keep seeing something over and over again, you're going to internalize this, and children are specifically more vulnerable to this, right? We can look at theories of sociology, the stages they go through, right? First there's the they I forget the name. It's like the post, I think it's post modern, no, post cognitive, pre-cognitive stage, and the cognitive stage, and post cognitive, right? So children in, for example, the cognitive stage, they base their moral values off of what they see. So if their parents aren't around to tell them, hey, this isn't true, and they see it in the media, then they start to internalize this into their moral beliefs. And if media is showing them, hey, being black is bad, then that's what they start to internalize and believe, which isn't good for one's own self. There's also the looking glass self, which sees a person's own identity. It's a mirror, right? You're trying to see what society thinks of you as, and based off of that your own idea of self is a reflection of what you think society sees you as. So if you're watching a lot of media that villainizes you, has these untrue stereotypes which paint a negative picture of you, then this could negatively affect your own image of self and the way you think about yourself. So my conclusion is basically that black people, right, they face greater challenges in rising in socioeconomic levels, climbing this ladder, escaping poverty, and overall, and this I'd argue this partially is because of the way they are displayed in media. So I think it's I found some research that fairly well established that the stereotyping in TV can negatively affect white people's image of black people, and as such, there's also research that shows that black people struggle to or are discriminated against when it comes to employment, specifically by white people, right? Because the labor market's dominated by white people, and there seemed to be a more tenuous, but there seems to be some evidence that black people also experience negative, a more negative image of self from this large amount of media, which villainizes them and stereotypes them. So specifically, if they don't have a strong backbone with their parents and peers who are supporting them. Thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you find the information interesting. And why this is important is if we want to try to if the goal is to create more good for more people, we have to fight against these stereotypes in media, fight against them and not allow them to be so prevalent. I feel like they're fairly prevalent even in modern day media, especially on social media, TikToks and Instagram Reels, and even to movies in this day. You know, right? Black Panther was the first superhero movie with a black superhero, right, as the main star, right? So that's those are role models to people, you know, right? When you're little, you look up, oh, it's Superman and Batman and such, and black people didn't. There was no superhero that shared their skin color. So yeah, thank you.